Hey friends, welcome back to the Autism Little Learners podcast. Today's episode is one of the most meaningful I've recorded because I'm reflecting on what might be one of the most powerful moments in my entire career, my interview with Jordyn Zimmerman during the 2025 Preschool Autism Summit. Whether you joined us live or are now just catching the replay, I want to walk you through the big takeaways from that conversation and the overwhelming ripple effect that all of you are creating. And here's the truth. What we're building together is more than a summit, it's a movement. Hi, I'm Tara, and this is the Autism Little Learners podcast. I am a speech-language pathologist with a twist. I've run my own communication-based classroom for over 2 decades, and I'm so excited to share actionable tips and strategies for supporting young autistic children. My goal is to help you feel more confident and successful when teaching your autistic child or students at the early childhood level. If you are ready to learn some tried and true strategies that really work, this is the podcast for you. Let's get started. Out of all the amazing sessions we hosted during the 2025 Preschool Autism Summit, my conversation with Jordyn Zimmerman has stuck with me ever since we signed off. Jordyn is a non-speaking autistic advocate and educator. She didn't have access to robust AAC until she was 18 years old. Her story is heartbreaking, inspiring, and deeply urgent for all of us working with young children. One of the first things that she shared was why she identifies as non-speaking instead of nonverbal, and why that distinction matters. She said nonverbal means without words, but unless someone has access to communication tools, we don't know what words they have. The language we use either opens doors or shuts them. Jordyn reminded us that assumptions about speech can lead to denial of access, of communication, of connection, of belonging. When Jordyn described what it was like to grow up without any way to communicate, I'll be honest, there were moments during our interview where I felt my throat tighten, and it's happening again right now as I'm talking to you. She said, without access, I felt trapped in my own mind. I had things to say, but no way to say them, and people thought I didn't understand. I thought of so many of my past students, kids I adored, but who didn't have access to robust AAC. There wasn't a lot back then, and now it's just becoming more accessible, but a lot of times we don't start it early enough. And I realize now with those students that I had way back when, they had so much more to say than we ever gave them credit for. Jordyn reminded us, we don't know what someone knows until they have the tools to show us. We also talked about the power of presuming competence. Jordyn shared how people used to talk about her, right in front of her, as if she wasn't there. She said, they talked about what I wouldn't be able to do, what I'd never be capable of. One story it brought up for me was about a former student. We had worked really hard to get him a robust AAC device before he transitioned to kindergarten. A few months later, the elementary school SLP called and asked, why did you get him that? He's not ready. My heart sank, and I knew deep down that he deserved access, that we don't wait for kids to be ready to communicate. We give them the tools now. Less than a year later, his mom messaged me on Facebook, and she said, oh my gosh, I have to tell you this story. We were on our way back from therapy, and he pulled his device out of his backpack on his own, which he had never done. And he started pushing a button, and it said bowling alley, and he was pushing it over and over and over the whole way home. Bowling alley, bowling alley. And she said, Bud, we have never been to a bowling alley. Like, what do you mean bowling alley? And when she got home, she rushed to the back seat and she looked to see what he was pointing to. And wouldn't you know it, it was a button that was mislabeled. The picture on it was McDonald's. He was really saying, McDonald's, I want to go to McDonald's. But the audio that was coming out was bowling alley. Well, now it all made sense to Mom. Oh my gosh. He pulled his device out of his backpack and initiated letting her know that he really wanted some McDonald's. Well, once she figured that out, she's like, oh man, we are going to McDonald's. And off they went to McDonald's. And then later they reprogrammed the button. But you know what? He was ready. He always has been. He just needed a chance to be able to communicate. When talking to Jordyn, we also dove into tools like PECs and core boards and how they're often mistaken for full communication systems. Jordyn was clear when she said, PECs is a requesting system, not a communication system. She said core boards are limited, but once a child has access to the alphabet, they can say anything. So she's a really big proponent of robust AAC devices because that's when you can really start to unlock all the things that these kids want to say. Imagine your entire language being reduced to 25 pictures or buttons. That's not communication. That's control. She said it's okay to not know, but it's not okay to not try. So here's a moment to reflect. Is there a student in your class you've been unsure about? Someone you thought maybe isn't ready for robust AAC? What would change if you presumed competence? What might they be trying to say? Think about that one. Jordyn ended our conversation with a beautiful question. She told everybody listening, how are you going to make ripples? And you answered. Wow, did you ever answer? We had 49,834 people register for this year's summit. And if each of those individuals supports just 10 autistic students, that means we've potentially impacted 498,340 autistic children around the world. That is 500,000 children, you guys. That is the ripple effect Jordyn was talking about. And those ripples, they're turning into waves. I want to share with you some of the ripples that were made just through Jordyn's presentation and the summit as a whole. Now, I put these into themes to kind of pull them together. So this first ripple is changing language and assumptions. And these are real quotes from summit participants. Here's one. I'll never use the word nonverbal again. Non-speaking is what honors their identity. Non-speaking does not mean non-understanding, non-feeling, or non-thinking. And also, we have to stop talking about students like they can't hear us. Jordyn reminded me how harmful that is. And someone else said, speech is not intelligence. That belief needs to go. Okay, ripple number 2, presuming competence. Here's what some folks said. There are no prerequisites to access. Another one, we aren't the gatekeepers to anyone's potential. A third comment, Jordyn made me rethink everything about how we prepare students. And another said, we must stop placing limits before access. Ripple number 3, access to AAC. Somebody said, no more waiting. Robust AAC from day one. Someone else said, we're no longer calling PECs a communication system. I'm leading a PD or professional development about this in our district. This is because of this summit, because of Jordyn, because of Barry Prezant, because of all of the speakers that shared information to help people make the shift to neuro-affirming strategies and approaches. Another one said, we're adding literacy to our AAC modeling starting this week. Ripple 4, taking action right now. Somebody said, I texted my SLP during the session. She said yes to more devices. Someone else said, I emailed my admin before Jordyn even finished speaking. Another one said, I'm training my paras using the summit materials. And a fourth comment, we're doing a weekly lunch and learn with our preschool team. You guys, I literally have goosebumps as I'm recording this. Okay, ripple number 5, reflections that linger. Somebody said, I'll never see my students the same way again. Jordyn gave me the language to advocate. Oh, more goosebumps. This wasn't just information, it was a transformation. And someone else said, she is a ripple maker. And one of you said it perfectly. All the ripples together will make waves. Ripple number 6, your takeaway, your mission. Here's what I want to leave you with today. We're not just learning, we're unlearning. We're not just gathering strategies, we're shifting systems and approaches. And most importantly, we are choosing compassion over compliance. That was the motto of the 2025 Preschool Autism Summit, and for good reason. Jordyn said, challenge yourself to question yourself. There are people ready to help if you are ready to enable access. So let me ask you this. What is your ripple? What's one thing you're going to shift this week, this month, this school year? Tag me on Instagram at Autism Little Learners and tell me. I want to hear about it. I want to celebrate it with you because we are creating spaces that are safer, more joyful, more connected, and more respectful of who our students are, not just who we want them to become. Thank you so much if you were part of the summit, and thank you for being part of this community. And thank you for making ripples with your voice, your advocacy, and your heart. Talk to you next time, friends. I'm sending a big virtual hug your way because you just finished another episode of the Autism Little Learners podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. If you have had success with any of the strategies that you learned about in this podcast, I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook at Autism Little Learners. Don't forget to grab your free visual support starter set by going to autismlittlelearners.com/visuals. And always remember to find the good in every day.